What's happening, people? We're here again with another episode of Let the Punk Talk. I have the hiccups today, so just bear with me. And also, obviously, always joined by Carl from Boxing Royalty. How you doing, mate?
All right, mate. How are you?
All good, mate. Apart from the hiccups, all good, all good.
And it
So
looks
yeah,
like a jumper as well. So
this design on it's meant to look like this. So yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about the show that was on the O2 on the weekend, featuring on the top of the bill Linus Udofia versus Denzel. What's his last name? Denzel what?
Denzel Bentley.
Denzel Bentley. Um, so yeah, I was at the show, so I'll talk about the venue itself because it's actually got quite a lot of criticism. But I think it's a really nice venue, mate. I don't really see the problem with it. I can understand the criticism slightly because of the where the ring is located, because it's on top of like a stage. So when you're sitting obviously on the floor, you're here and the ring's like here because obviously it's on a platform. It's on a platform, and it is quite weird because maybe it's because of the location of the ring, but at times it does sound like it's an empty venue where because you can hear like all the shots on the ring. You can hear sometimes you can hear the corner talking, and even my coach Kieran, he said when he was in the corner, it was literally like he wasn't even shouting. He was just speaking like how I'm speaking to you now to get the instructions across the alley because it's kind of like I don't know. It's very very weird. It's just like silent around the ring area, and I don't know if it's as I said if that's because of the location or whatever it was. But yeah. Apart from that, I think it's a great venue. Like I mean, it's in the O2, so how can it not be? I mean, like the bar where it is nice. Where they've got like the all the electronic bit is nice. Like they've got an upstairs bit where there's a bar there, and then if you sit in, obviously where the balcony is, you've got the best seat in the house. Obviously, because of it's at the O2 again, you get all the top boxers come out. Like there was loads of celebrities there, and it's not like the celebrities are like hidden away either because of the way the venue's set out. They're all just like mixed in with everyone. Like, I mean, I saw like John Ryder walking around, Louis Lynn, Kugas Cassian, um, Umar from IFL.
Yeah.
Uh, loads more. Like there was loads. There was too many to keep track of. Obviously, Jack the Punk Kid was there as well. Like
Eubank.
everyone was there, mate. Everyone. But yeah, I don't really know why it gets as criticized as it does. For me, it was I'd love to fight there, mate. Like I know obviously I've had the luxuries of fighting at York Hall my whole career, but I don't know, mate. It was a great venue. I really enjoyed the night. It was a great night of boxing. There was loads of great fights on the card, and yeah. So I mean, that was my view on the venue. So we move
Just a
on to
quick one on the venue. Yeah.
yeah.
Obviously, I watched it on telly, and the ring was low, wasn't it? The ring wasn't like at the normal height it was. It was a low ring because literally when I was watching, I noticed it in the Denzel fight. The Martin Bowers' corner were leaning on the third rope, watching in. Usually you're like they're under the bottom rope. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And when they zoomed out, you could see the ring can't have been no more than a foot off of the floor. And I
Mm.
don't mean that's not a bad thing, but another thing I noticed was, and again, I'm not slating the venue because it's the O2 Arena, but it seemed like when the fight, like the rounds were happening, you had one person in the corner, and then the others were stood like 2 or 3 meters back from the ring. Was that the case, or was that just the way the camera was?
Might have just been the way. To be honest, mate, I wasn't really paying much attention to like how tall the ring was and what the corners were doing. I was kind of just obviously watching the fight. So I mean, I know I was there and everything, but I just wasn't really paying much attention to that. To be honest with you.
I mean, I've been to shows and I don't look at where the cornermen stand in between rounds, so I'll let you off
Yeah,
with that one.
exactly, mate. Exactly. But yeah, so there was loads of great cards, great fights on the card. What obviously, I'm just interested to know what ones you actually saw because
I see every fight apart from when I got home from work, the first fight I watched was the Harvey Horn, and then it went from there.
okay, sweet. Was that where I was going to start from anyway. I was going to start from Harvey Horn, Ali, Brad Pauls, Eubank, and Linus were the ones that I was just going to talk about. So yeah, talk about Harvey Horn. Obviously, it was his first fight back since he got stopped in his last fight. So, he had a lot of questions to answer. His opponent was decent, and I think Harvey Horn basically, he just did what he had to do to win. He's got that very flashy southpaw style, and the thing is, when you get people that he's just so much better than, I just think he's got that style that people won't necessarily appreciate until he's in there with someone that's actually properly coming to win and a good contender. Because I mean, I don't know him like personally, but I know of Harvey Horn. Obviously, most people do if you're a big boxing fan, and he hasn't been beaten domestically. I think it's something in like 14 or 15 years he hasn't been beaten domestically. So that shows you how good Harvey Horn actually is. That speaks for itself. And yeah, as I said, I mean, he did what he needed to do against his opponent, but I think once he starts stepping up and coming across British fighters, I think he's going to be a proper handful. And a side note on Harvey Horn, was actually the first time I ever met him. Obviously, I know who he was. He knew who I was. And it was the first time I ever met him the other day. And mate, he's fucking hilarious, mate. He had me and Terry like in stitches. And he seems like a really, really nice guy as well. So, yeah, well done to Harvey Horn. So what did you obviously make of the fight, Carl?
I think he done all right. As you say, he obviously got knocked out quite badly in his last fight when he weren't expected to. I do know though, and I see Harvey Horn say it, that he was pretty much, Mark Tibbs was pissed with him after the fight. Like he weren't happy with him. Yeah, he said like, there was times in that fight, I don't know the other guy's name, but he was out. He was out on his feet and he didn't jump on him. I think Mark Tibbs wanted the stoppage. I don't think he wanted it before the fight. But he definitely, in between rounds was saying to him, look, when you hit him, you've got to jump on him. And he didn't. But that may be because, he's been knocked out. Was it the first time he'd been stopped?
Yeah.
And that's going to be in your mind naturally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In your mind, you're thinking, I went in for a shot in the last fight and I got flopped. And I don't want that to happen again. But look, for a first fight back, I don't think he can complain. The thing with that gym, mate, Mark Tibbs' gym, they got such a good, and they're all nice people in that stable. Do you know what I mean? There's no one in that gym that you look at and go, oh, he's a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
He's got John Hedges, Johnny Fisher, Ebony Bridges, Harvey Horn. He's got a young lad called Tommy Fletcher that is apparently he's a 6'7" cruiserweight. So yeah, but on Harvey Horn, yeah, I think yes, he's been told off, but it ain't about knocking people out. It's about winning, and he's won the fight, so that's all that matters. He can move on. But yeah, I agree with you. I think at British, I think it'd be a big problem.
100%. So yeah, moving on to Reza Ali, my gym mate. Obviously that was basically the guy I was there to see, and mate, I think he did great, mate. Like, I heard, I won't go into it because it's not really my place to say, but I heard he had not such a great camp, and I just think he did everything he needed to do, mate. Like, in my opinion, in the third round, he scored a knockdown, and everyone I've spoken to said it was a knockdown. It didn't get given, and it was a big shot. It was one of them shots that if it would have happened earlier on in the round, he definitely would have got him out of there. One of the things about Ali is actually it's so surprising that he doesn't have a knockout on his record, because Ali can bang, and even the journeyman after, he even said, I took the fight because they told me he wasn't a puncher, but he was like, fuck me. He was like, he definitely is a puncher. And Ali actually moved up to, I think, featherweight for that one. Obviously, Ali's a super bantam. They had trouble finding him an opponent. And that guy is actually a decent journeyman. He's got some good wins on his record. He beat another one of my friends, Brad Watson, who was English champion at my weight class, and he stopped Brad. So, it shows that guy's got some talent, and Ali dealt with him, won every single round, and did exactly what he needed to do. And I think he put on a real good show, and that's his second, obviously, televised fight now for Wasserman, and I think people will start to take notice of him, and I'd love to see him get a title shot next. I don't know if it will happen, but I've said it plenty of times before, Ali's good enough now to win a British title.
I mean, I've never. Well, hopefully, I get to meet Ali in your camp. You know, I think he was at the gym when I come down. But that was the first time I come down with you, and I didn't really want to go around, you know, saying hello to everybody. I was just there, you know, learning the way and whatnot. But yeah, mate, he, you know, you can see that you are both Kieran's fighters because you know, you're both very much the same. You know, you come in, you drop that jab, and then you come round, and he. You know, yeah, he took a couple of shots, but like you say, it weren't anything that was worrying. You know, he got caught coming, but there was no point in that fight he was worried. But he looked very good, and I didn't know that he'd had a problem in camp, whatever that may be. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. He went out there, he performed, and he won. And to not, you know, Terry said to me the day before the fight that he might not even fight because they haven't got an opponent. And then that idiot, whatever his name is, come in and started chatting a load of shit in the weigh-in. And you know, from what you say to me, Ali's the nicest guy you'll ever meat. And there's an interview on IFL TV. I don't know if you've seen it, but Ali was like, "I'm going to hurt him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to knock him out." And I was kind of like, "Whoa!" Like either Jack doesn't know this guy as much as he says he does, or this guy is fuming. But he looked good. He looked sharp. You know, 6 rounds. He didn't look tired once. He's a loud fucker, but he's a very good fighter, mate. And I look forward to seeing where he goes. Definitely 100%. He done well.
Yeah, he did, mate, and he is definitely destined for great things, in my opinion. So, yeah, moving on to Brad Pauls. Obviously, again, another, well, stable mate, as in the Goodwin stable. And I've met Brad a couple of times. I really like Brad. I've got so much time for him. I just think he's such a lovely guy. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to watch this fight because I had someone in my ear hole the whole fight and literally missed everything. Like, from what I can remember, I watched the first couple and I thought Brad was winning, like the early rounds. And then Ryan Kelly seemed to come on pretty strong. And he took a lot of the middle rounds. And then I just remember that in the last round, in my opinion, I thought Brad won the last round. But again, I didn't see enough of it to have a proper opinion on who won and who lost. I heard a lot of people say that they thought Ryan Kelly won. But yeah, I mean, I like Brad, and as I said, I got a lot of time for Brad. So I was ecstatic when I see him get the decision. But it was a great fight. Even though I didn't get to see the whole thing, it was, even from what I saw, it was still a great fight. Brad can bang, and that Ryan Kelly took some massive shots. So massive credit to Ryan Kelly. But I'm guessing you saw the whole fight, so I'm guessing you'll be able to give me a better insight as to, you know, what happened in the fight.
Yeah, obviously, I've spoke to Brad briefly over the last few months. I've done a couple of bits for him. Nothing against Brad at all. I think, you know, you can see, and even I watched the fight back again last night, and even in the interviews that he's done since, you know, he just seems like such a down to earth person. Oh, we're back.
Yeah, back.
Very straight to the point. But yeah, I think, you know, he come out, and I think I give him the first 2 rounds, and he looked all right. But then midway through the fight, sort of 4 or 5 rounds in, he went back to his corner. I think maybe 5 or 6, where I had it even. He didn't even like sit down. He like leaned on the ropes, and I thought, what the fuck's going on here? But you know, he got caught. The problem with the fight for me was he got caught with the same combination too many times.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Kelly come in and he was the right hook dipping under, left uppercut, and at one point in the fight, you know, I was thinking, Jesus, he could stop Brad here. Like, Brad was knackered, and he was catching Brad clean, you know. And obviously, when I first watched it, I said to you that I had Ryan Kelly winning by 1.
Yeah.
When you say someone wins by 1, you can't argue if it's a draw.
Yeah,
or
argue, yeah.
So when they said that Brad had won by 1 at first, I was like, oh, what? Like, what? And then I watched it back and I thought, well, yeah, okay. I mean, I give Brad and Ryan, it was 10 rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I give Brad and Ryan 4 rounds each, convincingly. The other 2, I just couldn't. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, Ryan just nicked that. I'll just give him 1 each. So I scored it a draw. Yes, Brad landed the heavier shots, but I think the cleaner work in the fight come from Ryan Kelly. But then that goes against everything I believe in boxing, you know. In every fight that I've been to, your fight, Mark, whatever it is, you know, Mark was caught clean too much, but Mark was the aggressor and Brad
Yeah.
was the aggressor in the fight, you know. But something that's interesting, and I know you won't have heard this, right? But I was watching IFL last night,
Mm.
and Brad done an interview with Coogan, and he was, you know, he was all upbeat, he was going for a shandy, and he said, you know, he thinks he won the fight, but he's not deluded. It was right, and he thinks the decision was right. It was close, and he would give Ryan the rematch.
Yeah.
So then I watched Ryan's interview, and Coogan said to him, you know, Brad said that he thinks it was right. Whether this is bullshit or not, I don't know. But apparently, Brad and his trainer went straight into Ryan's changing room and said that that was the wrong decision, and they're going to give him the rematch immediately.
Oh, really? I haven't heard anything, so I can't speak on that.
But I'll send you the link. But yeah, he you know, and I get it. Like Ryan Kelly, what is he, 16-3, and he stepped up and done again what. And we need to stop doing this in boxing. What no one thought he would. You know, we thought it was just a step in, and now they're talking about making that for the British because Denzel's going to vacate and move on. But yeah, he said that Brad told him that. Well, he said that's not what they said to me. They told me that the decision was wrong. But yeah, I know. I just checked it again before we come on because I didn't want to come on here and say that. And everyone, oh, he's talking shit. Who's this guy? But yeah, look, mate, you can't argue with that decision. I don't think it was Brad's best performance. You know, things might have happened in camp, but look, he won the fight and he moves on, and he's a good man because he said he'll have the rematch with him straight away if he wants it.
Yeah, fair play to him. I mean, it'd be a great fight for the British title if that gets made for it, but we will have to wait and see. So moving on to Harlem Eubank versus Sean Dodd. Well, I mean, not too much to report on, but I mean, I thought Dodd actually looked good until he got brutally KO'd. And I mean, it was an absolutely unbelievable shot by Eubank. And do you know what? When I watch Eubank, like Harlem Eubank, when I watched him a couple years ago, I think the first time I ever see him was on a card in Germany, and I think it was on an undercard of Derek Chisora when he fought for the European title, and he did lose that fight, Eubank, and I didn't think he looked that good, but he's really come on, and I don't know if that's because of Adam Booth or he's just been putting in the hours in the gym. But mate, he's really coming on, and I can see him being quite a handful, especially at the British level. But I'd like to see him start stepping up now with like some serious opponents and moving on to like a British title. I think a British title should definitely be, you know, in his future. I mean, he's 14 fights in now, and he's coming off. It is a good win, but I mean, let's face it, Sean Dodd is way past it. He was 37 years old, but it was a credible win. And yeah, I think now's the right time to start stepping up and pushing him on to like the British title and seeing how far he can go.
I mean, I didn't see the fight. I see the knockout, and you just see Sean Dodd starfished, and they didn't do Sean Dodd no favours because they did the camera above the ring and went in on him, and he was just out, and he just like lifted his head, shook his head at the ref, and then the ref like to say, "Look, I'm done," and the ref still got him up, and then went, "No, wave it off," like embarrassed the geezer, just let him lay down and fucking seal it out. But as long as Harlem Eubank doesn't have the personality of his brother, I will be a fan. But if he turns into a Chris Eubank, he can piss off.
Chris Eubank's a G, but anyway. So before we get on to Linus, I actually forgot until just now, but probably one of the biggest talking points of the show was what happened to the Josh Kelly fight. And I mean, I've been around boxing since I was 16. I'm now 30. So it's like 14 years I've been around and involved in boxing, amateur and professional. And I have never heard of something like that happening. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, maybe at the small hauler level, but never on a massive televised show like that. And so from what I heard was Josh Kelly missed weight by a pound or something. And they asked his opponent, you know, is this okay? So on and so forth. He said, yes, no problem. Then it got to the next day. And apparently the guy barricaded himself inside his dressing room and didn't come out. And I mean, that's just as crazy. And I obviously I've heard things that he got offered 3 times the amount that they offered him in the first place to come out of the dressing room, and he still said no. And from an inside source, not going to mention his name, who I know that knows him quite well. So someone that I know got asked to work in his corner, and he was messaging his promoter and said, "Yep, I can do that." And apparently they was looking around for him. Josh Kelly's getting warmed up, and he's texted him, said, where's the guy? And the reply was, "The fight's off, mate." And obviously it was like, but Josh Kelly's warming up right now. And a couple minutes later, word gets out, and apparently Adam Booth, loses his fucking shit, which is rightly understandable. And that's just so. As someone that's not been in that position exactly, but for someone that's been through hard training camps and having people pull out on you after, Josh Kelly doesn't have to sell tickets and so on, but it's just fucking heartbreaking, man. Like, honestly, like the amount like that we put in and the sacrifices that we do, so on and so forth. Like, yeah, man, just for Josh Kelly, I really feel for him. That must have just been absolutely heartbreaking for him.
It's bollocks, isn't it? It's like, again, I've seen things, like Calais come out. Obviously, you wouldn't have seen it, but on the Channel 5, they said they showed Josh Kelly, mate, and he did. He just looked heartbroken. He literally looked the colour of, whatever red you can think of. And they said to Calais, whatever you say his name, what happened? And he said, like you said, he weighed in yesterday. Josh was 1.5 pounds over. When we had I think the glove meeting comes after the weigh-in or whatever way around it is. They sat down. Calais and Adam Booth both said, "Is this going to be a problem?" They said no. And then he just fucking didn't leave the hotel room. Like, and you're right, because I've heard that as well. Calais said that Josh was on his way to the venue. Adam Booth's already there in Harlem Eubank's corner. He's thinking, right, get these 4-6 rounds out of the way, and I'm going to concentrate on Josh Kelly. What we're forgetting is Josh Kelly, everyone's chat shit about him since he lost to Avanesian, because he was out of weight and this, that, and the other. He was coming back to prove a point.
Yeah.
He had a holiday booked to fly away. I don't know when, but he's going away for a week and he's straight back in the gym. And this, I don't know what prick has just decided, I ain't interested. Like, and they're ringing around opponents. If I'm Josh Kelly, I'm going into that hotel, mate, and I'm just smashing that door down, because he ain't getting paid for it. Do you know what I mean? And all right, they've got him out on June the 18th in Liverpool, I think he said, but you just that can't happen, mate. Like, and I don't know what he thought, because you can't have been the weight. £1 pound is nothing in boxing. That's not for me to say, but £1 pound can't be that much in weight. Josh Kelly's all right, he might refuel and they might worry about that, but then fucking go and eat a donut or something, mate. I don't know how it all works, but I just felt like I'm not Josh Kelly's biggest fan. I think he's a very good boxer. I think he's very talented, but he's just not what I like to watch. But no disrespect to him, I think he's brilliant. But I felt so sorry for him, because that was just how I just don't. Well, mate, I don't know. Honestly, I've got no words for it. But let's just see I don't know who the guy was. Was he an English guy? Was he foreign?
No, he was foreign. I think he might have been Spanish. He fought Linus in his last fight, and Linus kind of stopped him. It was that guy. But the thing is, like, he's ruined his career now, because he won't never get a televised fight again now. What promoter's gonna want to put their faith in him after that? No one, not a chance. Especially if you're willing to actually pull out on the day of a massive show like that. He'll never be on TV again. So he's blown his chance of ever getting another big fight. So it is what it is. But I don't know how true this is as well. But I heard, obviously I was there, and they gave Josh Kelly the mic. I don't know if this was televised, and he was talking about what happened, and they basically said, whoever's bought tickets to come and see Josh Kelly, you're getting free for the show in Liverpool or the show in Newcastle, whichever one you want to go to. Don't know how true that is, because I think the Indigo can hold around 2,500 to 3,000. Yeah. So I don't obviously it would never happen, but if all 2,000 people showed up and was like, yeah, I got tickets, I came to see Josh Kelly, I got told I could come in, I mean, surely that would be like half the venue filled already for wherever the next fight is. So I don't know how true that is, but I mean, if it is true, fair play to Wasserman. But yeah. So moving on to the big fight of the night, Denzel Bentley versus Linus Udofia. From a lot of people, do you know what? Funny enough, you won't agree with this, but a lot of people I've asked actually said they thought Linus won the fight, me included. But it was a great fight, very very close fight, and a fight that I don't think anyone could argue if it went either way. But when I was watching it, within the first 6 rounds, I had only give Denzel Bentley 1 round. I thought Linus was doing amazing. And speaking to one of my coaches today, he actually said the same thing. He said in the first 6 rounds, he said, I only gave Denzel 1 round decisively. But he said there were 2 close rounds that could have gone either way. But he said 1 decisive round for Denzel in the first 6. But of course, no questions asked. Denzel had a very strong second half of the fight where he did have Linus hurt multiple times. There was probably like 3 rounds in a row where it looked like Linus could go. But, I mean, fair play to Linus. Great chin, great heart, hung in there because, I mean, Denzel was known for having pretty brutal power. I think it's 16 fights now and 13 stoppages, but at the time it was 15 and 13 stoppages. So that shows he's got extraordinary power. And yeah, I think, I don't know. I heard about the instructions in the corner were all wrong, telling Linus that he was something like 4 rounds up or something going into the last round. And you could see the way Linus boxed in the last round. He was like on the back foot, just kind of like, I need to stay away, not get involved. Basically, in a sense, just give him this round because I've won it. That decisive. I think that was kind of mad advice. Regardless regardless of anything, it was a close fight and it could have gone either way. I just don't know how you could, in a fight like that, give them instructions to tell them to back off. And obviously, in hindsight, it's probably ended up costing him the fight because it was a split decision and there was only like a round or 2 in it or something, wasn't there, from the scorecards. I think every scorecard was pretty close. So, in hindsight, that probably cost him the British title, or at least maybe even a draw where they could have just run it back and done it again. But I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone. Even though in a sense it is the corner's fault, but we're all human, we all make mistakes, and I know how great of a bond Linus and his coach have, and I know how great of a bond his coach and Brad Pauls have. So he is clearly a great coach, and it speaks for himself. He took Linus and Brad from nothing, to headlining Wasserman, winning titles. Brad is Southern area, Linus was English, fought for the British, and I think Linus won like an international title or something like that as well. So they're clearly a great coach, because I know sometimes when the corners do give bad instructions, the next day they're just slated as the worst thing in the world, and he needs a new coach and this and that and this and that. I mean, that's definitely not the case. So I just want to, throw that out there, that I'm not digging the coaches, but in a way, it was just poor advice, especially considering the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, Linus has come out and said that he was told at the start of the 12th, just don't get stopped and you've won this. So that is basically saying stay out of the way. That when Linus boxed at distance, Denzel couldn't get near him. 100%. And Denzel said that himself. He has said, when he kept me away with that jab, he said it was then he said he started predicting the right answer. Denzel, he said it was kind of not robotic, but he knew what was coming. Left, double jab, overhand right. And that was all Linus kept doing, And after about 4 or 5 rounds, I think Denzel worked out, and that's when Denzel started slipping and coming in. I give it 7-5 Denzel, but there was also the knockdown, which obviously his knee touched. It did, but the ref was behind him, so you can't argue it. I did think that they were going to rob Denzel, and Denzel also said that himself when they said, because they give it 116, 112 Denzel, which is terrible. He didn't win 8 rounds. 115, 114 Linus, and then 115, 113. And Denzel said when he had the second 115, he thought they've done me. But look, that's another fight. I think Brad's was a bit closer for me. But again, it's one of them you couldn't have argued a draw. You know, I don't think Linus done enough to win, but I don't think you could have argued a draw. And that's just my personal opinion. You know, I felt like he didn't tire, but I think he got a bit complacent in the second half of the fight. You know, and that's when he started letting Denzel, from about round 4 or 5, Denzel started getting in close. And there was times in that fight, like I say, when Linus was at distance, Denzel was in trouble. But when Denzel had Linus on them ropes, Linus was in big trouble. You know, there was some big shots. And the thing that frustrated me, obviously, we all know I'm a big Denzel fan. He had Linus on the rope. I watched it again last night, as well as the Brad Paul fight, as I said. And he had Linus on the ropes 4 times in the last 3 rounds, and he didn't move on him. And you can hear Richie Woodall, the commentator, saying this is where Denzel's got to work. And it was like he'd done all the hard work pushing him back, throwing a big hand to knock him back. When he got him on the ropes, he kind of just stood there a little bit. But look, it was a fucking, to be fair to both of them, they both said it was going to be a cracky. You know, Linus has come from the small hall shows. This was his first big fight. You know, he'd fought on Boxer and stuff like that. But in terms of title fights, it was his first real big fight. English world boxing would have watched. You know, British title fight, everyone tunes in when they see that. And he didn't fold at all. And you've got to give him credit. You know, he done well. He seems like a nice enough lad. But unfortunately, I was team Denzel, and I was very happy he got the win. And I think he's vacating, isn't he? So we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, if he does vacate, which he says, I mean, you just said that. Obviously, the Brad Paul's fight could get made. That'd be a great fight to watch. Linus might get another crack at it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the Brad fight was an eliminator. So, if anything, Brad's going to be next in line, and I don't think Brad and Linus will ever fight. But you never know; crazier things have happened. So,
who else is at British middleweight level? Let's have a quick look. Because I don't think they'll make the rematch straight for the title.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
You've got, I looked at it earlier. So Denzel was 6th, I think, or 7th.
Yeah.
Danny Dingham, but he's fighting for a world title.
Anthony Fowler.
No, I think that he's above that. Hamza Shiraz versus Brad Pauls. Could be an interesting fight.
Could be indeed.
Nathan Heaney. Denzel knows what I think of Nathan Heaney. I really do not like him.
Why?
I don't know, mate. I just think he's... Look, with Frank Warren fighters, I think they get easy tracked for 15 fights.
Yeah.
You know, and like people in that stable go on, and I'm not saying all of them, but this, like, I don't want to call him out. Nathan Heaney, he just does my head in. Like he bangs on, like he knocks out people with like 6 and 37 records, and it's just like Denzel has asked for that fight before he won the British the first time, plenty of times. And this is what Denzel said to me. You know, he wants that fight. It's never happened. If you want that fight Brad Pauls. Nathan Heaney versus Brad Pauls. I'll put my money on Brad Pauls. You know, because the thing is with these weights like middleweight, super middleweight, they're like in the British rankings. You know, you've got your top 5 or 6, and then in my eyes, there's quite a big gap between that. So for me, Linus is on the fringe of that top 6 level. Yeah, he proved that the other night. But then you've got like Brad Pauls isn't even in the top 15, I don't think. And then you've got Nathan Heaney, who's fought 14 dustbin men, no offense. And then, do you know what I mean? Like he fights all these guys. Like, what's his record? 15-0. I'm going to count now how many winning records he's boxed. 1. Oh God. 2. 3. 4. 5. 5 in 15 fights, and he's 10th in the rankings. But Brad Pauls has done, if not that, not more. It's just by some of these rankings like a bollocks, mate. And I think it's who you're with. Because if Brad Pauls was it weren't with Goodwin, it'd be higher, and that's sad to see.
Well, I mean, Well, I've always kind of made this point. Like, if you look at Nathan Heaney's record and Brad's records, Brad's definitely had the harder route, and he's probably definitely fought the harder people. And if you look at the most credible name on both opponents' records, I would bet my life that Ryan Kelly, who Brad fought last, was the most credible out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of the same thing I make about the whole Conor Benn situation. Obviously, I'm not a guy you love and a guy I don't speak so fondly of, but people hate on Chris Eubank, but they love Conor Benn. But mate, look at their records, and it's just not even debatable. Chris Eubank, by a country mile, has fought harder people than Conor Benn's even been in the ring with, and he not necessarily. Well, I mean, he did do it the hard way, but not as hard as most people at the small hall level do. I mean, he went the British route. He won the British. He fought former world champions. He ended himself in the Super Six. And he's beaten people like James DeGale and stuff. So like, don't get me wrong, of course it was a fade in James DeGale, but I mean, it was a James DeGale that literally was a world champion but vacated his title. So I mean, he was good enough to be a world champion, but again, yes, he was way past it. And a prime James DeGale was beating Chris Eubank all day long. I mean, I'm not delusional, but this is the kind of things that I try to explain to people, but people just don't understand. And I would even go as far as to say that Florian Marku has a better record than Conor Benn. And I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not delusional. The best name on their record is Chris Algieri. But I've spoke about this plenty of times. Part-time boxer, full-time nutritionist, pushing 40. But Florian Marku, he's been in. He beat Ryan Cholton. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ryan Cholton's probably English level, but he is a good fighter. And at that time in his career, Marku was like 9-0 or something. That's the fight he should be in with. He should be in with someone that's probably about English level. And Ryan Cholton obviously just beat Joe Laws and got signed by Matchroom. That was, at the time, it was a 50-50 fight. And I don't think anyone really knew how good like Florian Marku was at that time. And obviously he ended up schooling Ryan Cholton. He's had a couple decent opponents since then. But his last opponent again was probably a step in the right direction. His last opponent just beat a former world champion. Again, probably a fading former world champion, but a former world champion nevertheless. And he was a young, hungry fighter that's still looking to, progress and go into the right directions of big fights, And again, at the time in Marku's career, it was probably a perfect fight for him. And it was a fight I was a bit, when it got made, I was like, oh, I don't know if Florian Marku is going to win that. And I've never fought in all of Conor Benn's 20 fights, I've never thought, oh, Conor Benn might not win that one. I've always thought Conor Benn will blast him out in a couple rounds.
I mean, do you think Marku beats Ben now then?
I don't know, mate. Probably not.
No. I mean, well, if rumours are true, then Conor Benn's next fight is fucking massive and nobody can doubt him if he fights this guy.
And what are the rumours?
I think it's that Ramirez.
Let
me get his name. I should have done this, but I didn't know you was gonna.
Is he in the welterweight division?
Yeah, I think so. Let me have a look. It's a big fight. Jose Ramirez.
I think I know what you mean. What's his record?
July the 9th at the O2 Arena. I've got it up here. He's a former world champion, like very recently. He just boxed someone from Great Britain. I think it was Josh Taylor he boxed.
Oh, he boxed Josh
Taylor?
Taylor?
Josh Taylor, unanimous decision in the undisputed fight. He's 27-1 with 17 knockouts. He's beat that Victor Postel, Maurice Hooker, Jose Zepeda. He lost to Josh Taylor on a unanimous...
Yeah, I know who you mean. It was his fight just before Cattrall.
Yeah, 114, 112, 3 way. So if he fights him, then that is... Because he turned down Maurice Hooker in July, didn't he? Eddie Hearn offered him Maurice Hooker. He said no. He said I need now. He said he wanted Keith Thurman or Ramirez. So I think if he beats one of them two,
in my opinion, it's probably going to be Keith Thurman. You know, someone on the back end of their career who's pushing.
No, apparently it's done. Ramirez is done. Michael Benson tweeted it today. Eddie Hearn has declared that they've now made an offer which is close to being accepted for Conor Benn versus Jose Ramirez at the O2 Arena on July the 9th.
Yeah. I mean, as we know in boxing, nothing's ever final until they're pretty much in the ring. But we'll see. We'll see.
That'll be a delight for you to see him win that, won't it?
It will, mate. Well, as I said, I don't hate on Conor Benn or anything. I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, no,
he's never beaten anyone or done anything to deserve the hype he gets, in my opinion. And then there's people like, again, Chris Eubank, who I don't think he deserves hype, but I mean he's got in there with the best, and he hasn't. I mean, he's come up short when he's fought someone in their prime and so on and so forth. But at least he's give it a go, and he's got stuck in, and he's taken big fights.
Yeah, no, I can't. Look, Conor Benn's got a better. Chris Eubank's got a better record than Conor Benn, but I think Conor Benn will go further than Chris Eubank will.
I don't think so.
I think he's calling out, mate. He chats shit the other night. Chris Eubank's at the fight, and he's saying about Kell Brook, you're not smart enough. You're going to spend all your millions. Come back and fight me. It's like, well, he's clearly not, mate. He's retired. Like, just you've called out Golovkin for all these years. Well, guess what? Canelo isn't going to be fighting Golovkin next now. So do what you said you do, or you're going to pussy out like your dad made you when Eddie Hearn made it the first time. And Kell Brook to step in and save your arse, you stupid prick. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, mate. Yeah, let's see.
We shall. So I guess that's it for this episode. Me and Carl would love to stay and chat, but we really mustache.
Gets better. Right. See you later.
See ya. Peace.